Ever thought you're sometimes going through the motions? Gary and I have both been there. And that's why we created the East West Coaching Podcast.
Welcome to Anna and Gary's East West Coaching.
I'm Anna, and joining me is Gary. We are here to chat about life, love, and everything in between. Whether you're feeling stuck, frustrated, or just looking for a little more spark in your life, we got you covered. Let's dive in.
Maybe we could talk a bit more about shoulds and oughts. And I think it's really interesting because it's such a natural part of our language. Certainly in English. I don't want to say in Italian.
Oh yeah, it's kind of normal here. It's like, yeah, it's more like I must.
Mm-hmm.
I must, not I should, I must. I don't know. I must do the dishes, I must do whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Normal things, everyday things, is like, yeah, I must do that. I don't know if it's so negative for us. I don't know, because it's so normal to say that, when you have to do.
Same in English. We would use I must do this, I must do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think normally, in the course of everyday conversation, I must go to the shops. It's a kind of shorthand. Is that tonight I want to cook some dinner. I haven't got anything in the fridge, so if I want to eat, then I need to go to the shops. But if we said that every time we wanted to do something, we would never do anything because we'd be explaining ourselves. So it's a kind of shorthand which we fall into. I think the problem comes is when we mix that up with rules in life. So I should be married by the time I'm 23. Well, that's not the same as going to the shop. It's not a rule about going to the shops, that you have to go to the shop because you want to. But I should be married or if I'm not married by 30, it means something. So it's when we use the same words that have a different connotation. And then they become a rule and a burden to us. I should have finished editing the podcast. Well, hold on. Who said I should have finished editing the podcast by now? I would quite like to have done it. But where's the rule that says I should? The problem with saying I should, it means that the rule has been broken if I haven't completed it. And if I break a rule, well, that means that I'm a bad person. Because only bad people break rules. You shouldn't talk to your mum and dad like that. Why shouldn't I talk to them like that? Oh, you shouldn't eat in the cafe by yourself. I'm all about eating in a cafe by myself. Well, what does it say about me? Does it mean I'm a loner? And so there are all of these links that we make with those shoulds. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think they are very, very ingrained in us since we were born. There's shoulds from parents, schools, everyone around us, and so we adopt those rules, and sometimes we make them up by ourselves. It's like, as you said, I should edit the podcast, and I say, who makes the rules? I mean, it's your podcast. Who says you should do it right now or whatever, right? You decide. It becomes a problem when you always feel that you should something because you should do something. It's the right way, and if I don't do it, then I'm the wrong person or the bad person. So yeah, there would be different ways of changing that with the more empowering language, let's say.
I think what you said was, from when we're children, is that we pick up these rules. So when our parents say, Yeah, you must go to bed at this time. You should wash your hands. You have to do this. You have to do that. And a child takes all of that on board. They don't question it because they're not taught. You don't question it because that's what your parents say, so you trust them. And these rules become embedded and just a part of who we are, and we never challenge them. At one stage, having a rule was really useful. So you can't have your pudding until you've eaten all of your tea. Now, of course, as a child, that was so that I was getting a balanced diet. Because as a child, all I would want to do is eat sweet things. So if I ate my pudding before I ate all of my vegetables, well, that would mean I wasn't able to. Well, I wouldn't be I'd get sick. But as an adult, I still carry that rule with me. I can't have anything sweet before I have my tea. Well, hold on, I'm a fully grown adult now. I can, if I want to have a sweet or an ice cream before I have my main meal, what's the problem? Because I can choose to have my meal as well, or I can have my meal at a different time, or wherever it is, which I couldn't do when I was a child, but we then carry that through unquestioningly.
Mm.
And then when other people have different rules because they were brought up in a different way, oh, you're odd. You shouldn't be thinking like that. And then we get into all sorts of strange arguments and conflicts.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm based here in China. And one of the things the Chinese often say to me is, you wouldn't understand, Guy, because you're not Chinese. It's a shorthand for we've been brought up culturally different to you. And therefore, we have different rules to the rules that you were brought up with.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, this is a great generalization. The Chinese have a great sense of community. And generally speaking, they have a real strong affiliation to their parents, so that they not only obey their parents, even as adults, but they look after them when they're older. They live with them. All of this kind of thing, which certainly in the UK, maybe it's different in Italy. We don't have that same thing. It's quite frequent. People get put into older people get put into elderly people's homes. Well, I don't think there are any elderly people's homes in China. So a Chinese person might say, you should look after your parents. You shouldn't put them in a home. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a rule that's come from a particular culture.
Yeah.
Who's made up that rule? Can you say, well, I want to, or I don't want to? And if you don't want to, are you going to, where does that individual choice come from? And even as I say that, I sigh because as a Westerner, we value the individual above the community. In China, we value the community above the individual. To question either of those things, to question the Westerner with their individualism, or to question the Chinese with their communalism, is seen as being a bit strange, really.
I think there's positive and negative sides to everything. And I think, yeah, they have a different culture, we have a different culture, but I think you still have a choice. It might go against everything and everyone, but you might want to choose something different for yourself. Doesn't mean you're gonna, abandon your parents or anything like that. But maybe you can find a compromise. But the thing is that but there must be a lot of pressure from your community and your society. If you do something different, then you are the outcast, right? So you feel obliged to behave like everyone else.
Yeah, it's fascinating. But what I say to when I'm speaking to the Chinese is that, okay, I understand I think I understand what you're telling me about the culture, but you are choosing to follow your culture, and that's okay. But as
Mm.
long as you know that you're choosing to do that, and nobody's making you choose that culture, it's not a bad thing, but be aware that you have a choice. You could walk away from that, but you choose not to.
Yeah.
So don't complain saying, I have to look after my parents. This is awful. Well, no, you don't. If you wanted to, you could walk away, but you're choosing to stay. You're choosing to
Yeah.
stay within your culture. Great.
But where is it coming from? I mean, is it coming from pure love or is it coming from I have to, I must?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
different.
And I
Mm.
think that's lovely, Anna, what you just said. Is it coming from a pure obligation because I'll be outcast, or is it coming from I really want to do this because I really care? This is really important. And there's only one person who can answer that. Yeah, so I think that the rules are fascinating. The shoulds and the musts and the oughts. I think we also have to be careful when we put those rules on other people. You must.
Mm.
You must do that, otherwise I won't be happy. Go on. No, nobody has to do anything to make me happy. I may be unhappy if somebody chooses something different, but that's not on them. That's on me.
Yeah.
If somebody does something that I don't like, then I've got other choices to make.
Yeah, it's my responsibility to make myself happy and not expect anyone else to do that.
I may be disappointed that you made a particular choice that affects me, but now what?
Yeah.
I I come I come from a Christian background, yeah, and in churches, it's often taught that you have to do certain things. You must do this, you must do that in order to, and it could be all sorts of things, in order to go to heaven, in order to be, for God to be happy with you, in order for you to be a good Christian. Well, who said that? Different Christians from different denominations will say, oh, because the Bible, or because of tradition, or because of whatever, because they're the rules of the church. Well, who's doing the interpretation? Who says that the Bible, when this Bible says that, means a particular thing?
Because there have been many people interpreting the Bible in different ways.
And people are often burdened by not just Christianity, but by lots of different religions because of their rules, and they carry those rules. And because generally we can't keep any of those rules, at least for any length of time, we feel guilty. We feel guilty for
Yeah.
breaking them. And
Yeah.
this causes tremendous hardship for people as they're battling this external rules with the rules that, or with the things that they feel that they want to do or would like to do.
Mm.
I kind of don't really want to talk about other religions
Mm.
because
Yeah.
but I can talk about Christianity because that's the background that I'm from, and so I'm quite happy to criticize my own.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, I was born, I was born, but I was baptized Catholic, so I know. I don't know. For me, there was always something off in in my religion, at least. Uh, yeah, something that didn't make sense. You know, if God is this such a generous being and loving and forgiving, what are you telling me? You're a sinner, repent, whatever. You're not worth the heavens or whatever. It's like, okay, it doesn't make sense. This is a deep conversation to get into. I don't know if we want to go there.
yeah, so the reason I went there is because it's about rules again, and having to obey external rules as opposed to something that's inside of you. And you said that one that comes from love and desire and values. So one is driven
Yeah.
internally, and the other one is an external. And as soon as we start putting those rules on other people, we start to wield power.
I think that's why wars happen. That's why, there's wars between different religions, between different countries. Your rules put onto someone else's. Hey everyone, before we get back to our chat, I wanted to give you a quick shout out to where you can find us, as well as more resources and articles. You can find out more about Gary at www.thinkwellnow.net, and you can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Anna Amoroso. We will include all the links in the video description below. Please consider liking and subscribing to this channel to help us in reaching more people who might value this type of content, and click the bell to get news of our latest podcast. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so let's move on from the shoulds and oughts. The fallacy of fairness.
What's that now?
The fallacy of fairness is that the world should be fair.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
it's not fair that I'm poor and they're rich. It's not fair that I feel depressed. It's not fair that they did this to me. As if the world should be fair, as if that's the kind of world we live in. And if it's not fair, then there's something wrong. I would like the world to be a fairer place. That's my personal, desire. I would love that to be the case. If I complain, I don't have the same money as you. I wasn't born in a palace. I was born in a council estate. This is awful. This is not fair. How is that helping me? So what I need to do is accept where I am. That's the first thing I need to do. This is just how the world is. Now, I may want to fight for a fairer society. I may want to become a politician. I may want to set up a charity to make things fairer. But if I get stuck in life isn't fair, woe is me, then I'm in a bad place.
You feel a victim, you feel disempowered, you feel like you can't do anything, that all forces are against you and you're out of control. It's true that you can't control things outside of yourself, but maybe you can change the way you see things and, work for your best life, the way you would like to, maybe to treat other people in your community, or to be fair yourself towards other people. But I had that as well. It's not fair. There's so much injustice. That way you just feel there's no hope in this world.
Or even something like, I should have got that job. It's not fair that I didn't get it because I worked really hard. Yeah, you worked really hard. And the person who got the job worked really hard. There was one job.
Yeah, sometimes behind there's also like, it should be like this. It's like you expect something from society or from, it's not fair. It's like, a little kid saying, it's not fair, I want that. Entitlement, and a little bit of entitlement also behind there. Maybe not conscious.
Yeah, and it's, if I look around the world, there are certain things that I really don't like. I can see inequalities, and I don't want there to be inequalities. I can just go around blaming people. Well, and where is that going to leave me? Unless it leads to some kind of action. And if it leads to action, that's great.
Be the change you want to see in the world.
Can do.
Right. What you can do is start with yourself. I'm going to treat everyone equally. I'm going to be fair in the same way to everyone. I'm going to be welcoming everyone. You can only start from you. I think that will make you feel really satisfied and fulfilled.
What makes me feel more satisfied is when I can blame somebody else. Because then I don't need to look at myself. Because I can blame somebody else. Nothing to do with me. I don't need to change. It's them.
It's them.
Oh, what a great feeling it is when I can sit back and go, I'm all right. Thank you. So I kind of linked to that, and I think probably I covered it already. It's something called heaven's reward, is that if I do all the right things, then I should be rewarded for it. And I mentioned the kind of the work. If I work hard, then I should get the job. But there are lots of people in the world who are working really hard, who are doing all the right things, who maybe never see a tangible reward. I saw some work that says if you're rewarded for all the hard work that you do, African women would be the richest people in the world because they walk for miles, or so, some of them not. So that was a terrible generalization about Africa, which has got lots of developed areas. But there are some people who live in really poor communities, who walk for miles, who carry water for miles, who have care for their children, who plow the fields day after day, and for all that work, they get very little physical, tangible reward in the way of maybe money. And you think that there are some people who were born into money, they invest a bit of money, they get money back on the investment. And you think, gosh, where's the parity in this? But there isn't a heaven's reward. Like, you do the things that you believe are the right things to do, just because they are the right things to do.
For you.
Yes, for you, the things that you believe are the right things to do, following your values. There are plenty of martyrs in the world. People, you mentioned Martin Luther King, Gandhi, and there are Oscar Romero, who all stood up for what they believed was the right thing, who wanted to make a change. And what did they get rewarded with? Well, they got rewarded with being killed. Now, if you believe in heaven, then maybe there is a heaven's reward, but we don't see it here on earth, at least. So there may not be a reward for you that you can see right now. So what are you going to do?
So just don't expect any reward. Just do the things because you want to do them and reward yourself.
Thoughts, feelings, and facts is that just because you think something, just because you feel something, doesn't mean it's right.
It doesn't mean it's true. This is a big one, I think. We just believe so much into our thoughts. Believe that we are our thoughts, that whatever we think is true, and that's it. We don't even question it, and we follow our thoughts and our feelings. I was guilty of that very much. Absolutely no doubt that my thoughts were me. But I mean, they're coming from me, they must be me. But what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling is not facts. It's just what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. I can choose if I want to believe in them or not. I can choose if I want to find something more empowering and compassionate, or if I want to follow them and listen to them and believe in them and live my life that way.
Just because I feel stupid doesn't mean I am stupid. So I may make a mistake. And what it is, if I make a mistake, doesn't mean that I am stupid just because I feel it, or does it mean I made a mistake? Nothing more, nothing less. If I make several mistakes, or even the same mistake several times, does it mean that I'm incapable of learning? It means I haven't learned yet. As humans, we like to create patterns. We're pattern makers. And even if it's from disparate sources, anything, if you look at the stars, and we go, oh, that's the Great Bear, that's the Plough, that's that's Orion's Belt. They're stars. There's just a group of stars there. But we create these pictures from. I can never see the Great Bear and the Little Bear.
We tend to generalize a lot and categorize a lot. Whenever I do something wrong or whatever, it means something about me. And you put them all in the same box, and it keeps growing and growing and growing, and there comes your belief of yourself.
So the last one that I want to talk about is magical thinking.
Woo!
Yeah. So this is when we believe that we have influence over things that we couldn't possibly have influence over. So I guess at its simplest, it's when we always put our left shoe on before our right shoe. Because if I put my right shoe on, well, the last time I put my right shoe on before my left shoe, I fell down the stairs. So I always put my left shoe on before my right because I've never fallen down the stairs when I've done that. And we
My
create
God.
this all sorts of things like that, and not walking under ladders, not
Mm.
having a black cat walk in front of us or whatever it is. You drop some salt and you throw the salt over your shoulder. That's a form of magical thinking, which is kind of harmless until it starts to disable us.
Well,
And at its worst, it can. A person gets really anxious and worried, and the anxiety gets stronger and stronger. And what they're worried about is that their children are going to have an accident. They're not living with them anymore. They're living at university, but I'm worried that something's going to happen to them, and they're scared of not thinking about their child, because if something happened to their child and they weren't thinking about it, they would blame themselves.
oh my God, what a nightmare.
But this happens to people. They feel guilty if they're not thinking about it because it means something. It means I didn't care enough. How does thinking about somebody a million miles away show that you're caring about them? How does it stop them falling over? How does it stop them, something bad happening to them? Well, it doesn't, except for the fact that the person might feel guilty. I didn't say I loved so and so before they left. If something happens to them now, it will be awful because I didn't say I loved them. Again, that's not helping in any way whatsoever. But the magical thinking is, if I'd said it, it would make a difference. And so there are lots of instances of this that happen to us, and that can have a massive impact. And the person who constantly checks the door to make sure it's locked before they go to bed. That's a kind of magical thinking.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess that could it be a cause of OCD? Like when you
Oh yeah,
think that
yeah,
a lot,
absolutely.
because you have to have
And this
things under
overthinking.
control, sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Everything has to be under my control, and if I've got control over everything, nothing will go wrong. Well,
Mm.
is that
Mm.
true? Feels like it's true. I guess a less pernicious one is I'm a good person. Bad things shouldn't happen to me because I'm good. That's kind of magical thinking.
What do you think of the opposite thoughts? Like all the bad things happen to the good people.
Oh gosh, yes, it's another form of magical thinking. It's quite messy, um, and sometimes it can that thought can make you feel good about yourself. Bad things happen to me, but that shows how good I am.
Yeah, but not in this way, like personal, but when you believe that bad things happen only to good people, mostly to good people.
Ah, yes, and I've heard the opposite said that. Oh, all the bad people get away with it. All the bad people are living a great life.
Yeah.
Well, that might make you feel okay about yourself, or maybe it makes you feel angry about the world. But actually,
Mm.
what are the facts? It may feel true, but it's not actually true, is it? There's a saying from the Bible: "It rains on the good and the bad. The sunshine shines on the good and the bad."
Mm.
Just things happen in life. That's just how life is. It doesn't matter whether you're good or bad. Things happen. I think in Buddhism, I don't think I'm going to quote it exactly, but this is the quote: "Shit happens."
All right.
So now what? You just have to accept it. There's no way around it. There's no spells to be said. How it's going to
Mm.
protect you. Given an average life, most people are going to have great times and rubbish times. They're going to be times when they're really happy and times when they're really sad. And lots of times when it's just boring. It's just every
Mm.
day.
Yeah.
Unless you live in a soap opera on television, in which case things are
Yeah,
either always
exactly.
fantastic or always terrible.
Well, actually, soap opera brings me to one question. Do you think that could be the same thing when, when you're like, I don't know, maybe growing up or maybe you're living some difficult situations or you're not, you just, I don't know, want to escape or whatever. And you feel like, especially as women, it's like, yeah, but someday someone is going to come around and they're going to take me away and I'm going to be happy forever and, and live my fairy tale and I will have the family I want. And yeah, someone is going to come and save me someday.
Yeah. And it's the kind of the old Disney story idea, isn't it? Yeah, Prince Charming comes and kisses the princess and everything is wonderful.
Yeah.
And in those stories, there's a lot of magic happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Sleeping Beauty, you've got the three fairy godmothers who cast spells, and you've got the evil godmother or person who wasn't chosen as godmother casting spells. And the main protagonists, the prince and the princess, or the princess rather, is at the mercy of magic.
Yeah. Wow.
Until she's rescued.
Exactly.
She has no control over her life at all.
No, she's so weak. She has to wait for someone else to come and rescue her. I felt like that, when I was growing up, teenager or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, someone is gonna come one day and they're gonna love me so much and they're gonna, make me feel like a princess or whatever. And you keep waiting and searching and waiting and searching. Nothing happens. It's like, yeah, okay, maybe there's something not exactly right here.
Wow. I would love to do a podcast on this, Anna, about relationships, because I think these fairy tale, these myths that we're told as children are brought up with actually have an impact in our real lives.
Yeah.
For men and women. So
True.
yeah, and you look at these stories, and the myth is, the beautiful young woman who's got a perfect figure, and the man who's muscular and hench.
He's
brave.
A hero and slays every enemy and saves you and is strong and is and you expect that, you want that, right?
And they live happily ever after.
Yeah.
There's a bit missing there somewhere. But if we're brought, and that's a magical thinking. That is magical thinking. It's all going to be okay without any effort. And then when it doesn't happen, boy, are we let down.
Oh yeah. Yes, we are.
Oh, that was said with feeling, Anna. Oh yeah. Okay, girl, look at me.
Oh man, yeah, you really get disappointed, Yeah, I really enjoyed this conversation, Gary, as always.
So, is that a good place for us to stop today? Lovely, thank you, Anna. That's good.
Thank you, Gary.
Pull up, I got 5 wishes on a Friday. I know y'all different, y'all popping bottles in broad day. So much cameras, I gotta move in a small way.